Today I'm going to take a walk around the village of Naseby in Northamptonshire. And yes, the name of the village gave its name to the battle that took place here on the 14th of June, 1645, during the English Civil War. And we'll visit the battle site a little later on in this video. But I'm going to take a walk through the village and see what I can discover, because there's bound to be some really interesting history here in this old village. Starting with the pub, the Royal Oak, built in the 1600s and rebuilt in the 1960s following a fire. And it does look quite splendid with all the flags outside, looking very patriotic in the morning sunshine. But the village is quite an interesting one. Population of around 700 today, mentioned in the Domesday survey of 1087. Back in 1349, the Black Death came to Naseby. The Black Death struck so many towns and villages around the country, decimating its population, including here in Naseby. But there's a nice Wesleyan Methodist chapel, erected in 1825 and restored in 1871. And a sign on the other door which says Sunday School from 1903. It's really interesting. Glad to see a nice Methodist chapel. But what takes my interest here is the Market Cross. And there's a commemorative plaque here which actually explains all about the Market Cross. And it states that in 1203, King John granted the village of Naseby a royal charter to hold a weekly market. And the village of Naseby at the time became a small market town. The cross was originally erected opposite All Saints Church in the marketplace, but it was moved here under the instructions of John Purcell Fitzgerald, the Lord of the Manor. It was only reduced to a stump at the time, so it moved here for safekeeping, and to its current location here back in 1993. But is it a market cross? I don't think so. And as I came here to take a look at it, one of the residents came out and had a chat to me about this market cross, and informed me that it was actually a whipping post. And I think she's right as well. Charming lady, really nice to have met you if you're watching. But it doesn't conform to a normal design of a market cross. The top is too thin. I think probably when this whipping post was in use, there would be a cap on the top with some chains hanging down. And you can see where the prisoners would have sat or knelt on the corners of the whipping post. The telltale signs are here if you look carefully. There's also some damage on the actual base stone as well. Was that from a sword or an axe? Did people lose their life here? Were they executed here as well as being whipped? I don't know, but it's really interesting to see it, and to see that something like this has actually survived. You discover so much in a village just walking around, and a discovery like this really is quite exciting. So many villages have pillories in situ or remains of old stocks, but to see a whipping post is very rare and a real treat as well. But it's definitely a whipping post, a punishment post of some description, and not a market cross as we would know a market cross, because the top is just too smooth to be to have had a cross on there which had fallen off over the years. If the cross had been on the top of a pole like this, it would have left its mark as it had fallen off throughout history. But it's too neat and tidy at the top to have had a cross on it. So definitely a whipping post. But really interesting to see it. A little further up here, I can already see it, is the War Memorial. And this one is really special. As village war memorials go, I think this is one of the best. It's built in 1918 to commemorate the fallen from the First World War. And the lion at the top is a smaller copy of one of Edwin Landseer's lions, one of the 4 lions at Nelson's Column in Trafalgar Square in London. The memorial was designed and made by J.G. Pullen and Sons, monumental stonemasons, at a cost of around £255. And the memorial was dedicated on the 6th of March 1921. And there are 11 names from the First World War and 2 from the Second. Just look at a couple of the names there. You've got Harry and Samuel Ringrose. Well, Harry Ringrose died on the 14th of July 1916 at the Battle of the Somme, aged 34. And Samuel Ringrose, well, he died on the 12th of July 1917, aged 30. And Harry Westaway, well, he was a gunner, and he died on the 17th of December 1917, just 7 days after arriving in France. Such a brave young man, and a life cut short, like so many brave soldiers from the First and the Second World War who lost their lives at such a young age. And the 2 from the Second World War, Leslie Burdett and Horace Roberts, remembered here on the bottom of the war memorial, to the glory of God and to the memory of the Naseby men who gave their lives in the Great War, 1914 to 1919. And every one of those names on there would have been known by somebody in the village. Local people went off to war to do their bit and never returned. Such brave young men. But let's head on up to the church and up to the battlefield and see what else we can discover here in Naseby. For a rural village, this is one busy road. There's lots of vehicles going up and down. There we go. Modern times. I guess a few hundred years ago, the only traffic would have been a horse and cart. How times have changed with the invention of the modern motor car. But this is the area called Newlands. This used to be the market area here. When the market cross, or the whipping post I should say now, used to stand here, opposite the church. And we'll visit the church in a few minutes. But just here is also the former Fitzgerald Arms public house, built around the 19th century and closed around 2020. It's a good pub. I came here, I think, early 80s with friends. We stopped here for lunch. Quite a memorable lunch, I do recall. It was a lot of fun in that pub. But yeah, nice round seating here as well. And there's a plaque which actually commemorates this seating and said the tree was planted by Master Luke Renton of Naseby Hall on the 22nd of June 2011 to commemorate the coronation, 1911. It's got birches all over it, I can't quite read it. Yes, 1911 to commemorate the coronation of King George V. There we go. Just gonna sit here for a few minutes on this bench. Watch all the traffic go by. But behind me is a private house, and inside is said to be a spring, which is the source of the River Avon. I did have a look online, and there's a few photographs of a marker that used to be in the garden, but hedges have been planted and it's overgrown. Very difficult to see if the marker's still there or not. Maybe somebody from Naseby could leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know, because it'd be interesting to actually find the source of a river. I've never found the source of a river in any of my videos. Maybe that's a theme for a future video. But what a delightful little village this is, and on such a sunny day as well. But across the road is the church, so let's go and take a look there and see what we can discover here in Naseby. century, although most of what we see today is 13th and 14th century. The recessed spire was added around 1860 to designs by William Slater. It's quite a fine looking spire. I do like seeing spires on the top of churches. But looking through the parish registers, and in 1837 there were 91 baptisms recorded, ages ranging up to 26 years old. Normally in a year you'd expect to see around 7 to 24. This is probably the result of the response to the Births and Deaths Registration Act of 1836. And as so many nonconformists hadn't been registered, I guess they rushed to register their baptisms. Now 50 of those occurred in the week before the 1st of July, which is when civil registrations became mandatory. The church inside is absolutely beautiful, as one would expect from a church of this age. Now to get in I actually had to borrow the key from the village shop. It was quite interesting actually, because on the top of the key on one side it said All Saints Naseby, and on the other was Fire Watchers 1941. So I guess that this key had been issued to the fire watchers during the Second World War, who climbed the tower to keep watch for incendiary bombs that had been dropped by the Germans. Not seen that on a church key before. I've borrowed many church keys to get into churches. It's quite a popular arrangement, the key being accessible to visitors from a local shop or pub. But yeah, very interesting to see that on the key, on the top of the key. There's also a war memorial in there as well, which commemorates all those who died during the First and the Second World War. What was interesting is the Civil War sword that hangs above it, and I'm guessing by the empty chains underneath there was a second sword. Perhaps that's been lost to history. Not sure what happened to that, but the chains were there to hold a second sword. And also there's a spur there as well, from a Civil War horse, obviously from the Battle of Naseby. But what was interesting in there was the large table. This is the Cromwell table, and it said that Oliver Cromwell dined at that table before the battle. Bit of history there in the church. Absolutely fantastic to see that. And a little archaeological display as well. Finds from the battlefield, musket balls and parts of swords as well, and other objects. Really interesting to take a look at that. Always amazes me what you find in a church if you look. And I found some great discoveries over the years in other churches in other villages. But what I've come to Naseby to look at is the battle site. And there are a couple of monuments to look at. So let's go and try and find those.
The left flank is faltering. We must reinforce them now.
Prepare the reserves.
Charge the center. Victory is ours.
The marker to the battle. It's only just a short walk from the village itself. Very busy road. But here it is. This is the monument. The Battle of Naseby was fought on the 14th of June, 1645. It's a pivotal conflict between the Parliamentarians' New Model Army and the Royalist forces of King Charles I marked the turning point in the English Civil War. The victory for the parliamentarians effectively sealed the fate of the monarchy, shifting the balance of power in England forever. The royalists had around 9,000 men, commanded by King Charles I himself and Prince Rupert of the Rhine, the Duke of Cumberland. And the parliamentarians, they had around 14,000 men, commanded by Sir Thomas Fairfax and Oliver Cromwell. And this monument stands on the edge of the battlefield, and it was erected in 1823. And as I look up at the monument, I can see a commemorative plaque which tells me all about the battle on the 14th of June. And just underneath the main part of the obelisk itself are some cannonballs. Very apt to have cannonballs around the side. Obviously cannon fire played a part in the battle. Really nice to see this monument, and it's a fine looking monument to commemorate a battle. I've only ever visited two other battle sites, and they were both in Scotland. That was Bannockburn and Culloden. So it's really nice to come down and actually visit another battle site here in England, especially Naseby. The English Civil War is a particular period of history which I find quite fascinating, along with, of course, the Romans. There are two other monuments up on the battlefield itself. One marks the position of General Fairfax and the other of Oliver Cromwell. So I'm going to go up there and discover a little bit more about the battle. And here we are. This is General Fairfax's viewpoint from the battle. At the time of the battle, the countryside opposite me was mainly large open fields without hedges and woods. The parliamentarian generals who were close to this viewing platform could see the royalist army in the distance to the north and wanted to draw them into the battle. Now, realising their own hill was too difficult for Rupert to attack, they ordered the new model army westward to the left onto more higher ground. And when Prince Rupert saw that they were on the move, he moved over the ridge towards Dust Hill, north of Broadmoor, and the battle commenced. And looking ahead of me now, you can see Dust Hill and Broadmoor right on the far left. And that's where the monument is to Cromwell's forces. That's up on Broadmoor. So I'm going to go up there in a moment, but really nice to stand here and take a look at the battle site. And it stretched over a very large area, as you can see into the distance. We're up to the nearby the villages of Sibbertoft and up to Great Oxenden in the distance. So this area was a couple of square miles. But really interesting to come here and see the battle site. I've driven past here on the A14 so many times, and I've seen the sign for Naseby and the battle sign, but I've never stopped. I've been to Naseby just once for a lunch back in the early 80s, but we never stopped at the battle site, which is a shame. But this is the first time I've had the chance to come up here. On a lovely sunny day, it really is nice to be up here. Look across to where everything happened. So let's go and try and find Oliver Cromwell's position and look at the battle from his perspective. It's quite a walk up from the other monument down into the village and back up. I'm sure there must be an easier route. But that was fun, nice enjoyable walk. And this is the Cromwell monument just up ahead. Absolutely beautiful, looking at it. You get a fine view over the countryside from here. And here we are, this is the position held by Oliver Cromwell. Absolutely amazing. Get a really good view of the battlefield from here. You have to remember, all the fields, the trees, the hedges weren't here at the time of the battle, nor was the little wooded area just on the hill in front of me. It wasn't here. This was all open countryside. Perfect location for a battle. Fairfax's men met by the old windmill. That's by the obelisk we first saw just a few minutes ago. And they Fairfax moved his position to the other area of the battlefield where we just come from, and then on up to here to engage Prince Rupert's forces. We're advancing from the other side of Siversoft. Absolutely wonderful, looking across at the battlefield. Really exciting to come here. And the monument itself as well. Quite a simple monument, and there's a little inscription. Battle of Naseby, 14th of June 1645. From near this site, Oliver Cromwell led the cavalry charge which decided the outcome of the battle. And this is the battle that changed history. Parliament ruling the country instead of the monarch. Modern history comes from this point here, 14th of June 1645. Absolutely amazing. It's amazing what you find in a village as well. Found so much history today, especially the Land Sea Alliance and the table in the church. That really was a very exciting find. But this is where I end the video. If you want to see more from English villages, there are plenty on my channel, and there are plenty for members as well. There's quite a few videos from English villages, especially for members. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see some more, hit that subscribe button and follow my journey. And we'll see you soon for another village somewhere else. Thanks for watching.